BB for Hody and straight black pride, brothers and sisters. This is your brother, DC Radical 1, and this is episode 4 of DC's Radical Thoughts. And today's episode is going to be called The Science of Me and We. And this was inspired by a discussion I had with a couple of people. I'd say a little over a month ago now. And there was an event that was scheduled here in the DC area with I guess you would say, a conscious speaker. And it was someone that I didn't know a lot about. And they were charging what I thought was an exorbitant amount of money. And so later on, I was surprised. I was like, wow, that's bold. That's a lot of money. And I was surprised to hear that they were quite successful in their turnout. And in fact, their turnout exceeded that of people like Dr. Umar and Bob Ashford Kwesi and other people who are very popular in this area. So that made me curious. And also I was a little disturbed. And so I really had to do some introspection. Had to check myself, if you will, and see, was I disturbed? Was I just, was there some being a hater there? Was there some jealousy at this person's apparent success? And so I had discussions with people, and some other people, they had questions, and some people were like, well, no, it's a positive. And that rationale for it being a positive is that it was good because it shows that our people were still interested in knowledge. The person was speaking their specialty, from my understanding, is health. So they was like, that's good if people are interested in maintaining their health and things like that. And so I thought, well, yeah, maybe that's it. Yeah, I guess that is something positive. But the more I thought about it, the more it bothered me. And so I said, let me think about it. And then the day went on, and a couple of days later, it dawned on me what it was that so disturbed me. It wasn't that the person was successful. It wasn't even the exorbitant price that they charged, although that did bother me a little bit. It was that there was no we in what they were teaching. Now, somebody's gonna be like, DC, what in the world do you mean? Well, the 5% Nation, they have a concept called build or destroy. Or really, it's build and destroy, because conceptually, whenever you build something, you destroy the opposite. For example, if you build unity, you destroy division. If you build a building, you destroy space, right? If you build up wealth, you destroy poverty. In the same way we have that concept, I came up with the concept of me or we. And in reality, everything is done on a me or we principle. Now, traditionally, African people, black people, have been a we culture. That is our root. The family, the community, the clan, the tribe, the nation. That's how we have been since our inception, since time immemorial. We invented that concept. The European has traditionally been a me person. That, in America, that's manifest as a concept of rugged individualism, of that proverbs of it's a dog eat dog world. It's every man for himself. That is Europeans of me culture. And so when you look at something that's supposed to be quote unquote conscious or whatever, it should be reflective of the we in us. If it's not reflective of the we, then it's not authentic, and then it's artificial. And so once I came upon that reality, that self-revelation, if you will, I started to measure everything on that scale, me or we. So I looked at that recent example of that event, and I'm like, okay, what's the we in it? So the person, they're teaching about health, and people came out for that. But when I looked at it, when I say there's no we in it, is teaching about health good? Sure. But what type of organizing is done? What type of, and what's the motivation of the people coming? Are the people coming so they can be healthier, so they can do race work? Are the people coming so they can be healthier so they can oppose Zionist hegemony, or oppose racism, white supremacy, or to do nation building work? Or do they just want to be longer living Negroes? Do they still want to live long so they can chase after more European or non-black females? Do they want to live longer so that they can continue to chase the American dream and to attempt to aggrandize dollars and consume material goods? Is there any we in it? And so just from my analysis, and just from looking at a modicum of what the person teaches, I found more me in it than we in it. And it's interesting because I've been at events where Dr. Layla Africa, one of the groundbreaking teachers of health in our community was. Let's just be honest. There was nowhere near the support. There was nowhere near the attendance of Dr. Africa's event as it was at this event. I mean, he had a good turnout, but nothing like this other person. And so when I thought about it, I was like, and I could be wrong because I don't know everyone's motivation there. But based upon this person's, the little bit of teachings that I've seen, and based upon the support that other people have gotten, there seems to be much more me than we. And as I look back at some different things and different movements and things that have gone on in the last 15 years or so, the people who teach me have been very successful in bamboozling our people and extracting money from our people. Like, let's be honest, let's take a look at it. In the last, decade or so, we've had Europeans pretend to be pro-black. We've had Sean King run around collecting money from various people and receiving money from various sources, and he's 100% white, but he's been masquerading as some type of black man or mulatto or whatever he's supposed to be. We had Rachel thos, however you say her name, running around as an NAACP chapter person, all of this in the name of me masquerading as being in the name of we. But when you look at those people, of course, it should be obvious why they are me people. They're me people because that's part of their culture, that's part of their nature. But when you look at other people in our movement, you see a lot of grift. I believe that's the word I'm looking for. A lot of, people aren't stealing, but some of them are scamming. There were reports of people like Polite scamming people. And we saw as soon as he got some money, he went over to the European community and went and got, seen cavorting around with European females. This despite him supposedly having 4 attractive chocolate sisters who were supposed to be his wives. But as soon as he got an extra $5 in his pocket, he's running over there European females. And then, of course, we find out that in addition to all of this, he's a whole pedophile. And so the me comes out realistically when things are going well. In fact, when things are going well, that's almost like a truth serum. It's almost like alcohol. People get drunk and they start, what they really think starts coming out of their mouth. When people are doing well, how they really are, their real character starts manifesting. Or when there's an opportunity to do well, the real character starts manifesting. And you start seeing either the me or we come out of them. So if someone will ask me, we're like, okay, brother, let's say this me or we concept is valid. How can I measure whether something is me or we, or someone is me or we? I will say this. One of the things that really exposes people is how much of what they teach do they claim to be the originators of. One of the we concepts that I was introduced to a long time ago is the concept that we stand on the shoulders of giants, right? So for example, if a person they teach health, but they act like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Dr. Layla Africa, or Dr. Sebi just didn't exist, and that they came up with all these ideas and came up with all this research themselves. If you see something like that, that person is more than likely a me person, not a we person. If you see a person who teaches history or teaches the truth about religion, and they act like Dr. Yosef Ben Yakinen and Dr. Ashfur Kwesi don't exist, then that person is probably a me person and not a we person. If you hear someone that claims that they have some type of authority on racism, white supremacy, and they act like Dr. Neely Fuller Jr. or Dr. Francis Cress Welsing don't exist, then that person is more likely a me person than a we person. Another thing is, if you see some person running around claiming that we're not African, or Africans are against us, or Africans are our enemies, and we're this American and all this and that, more than likely that's a me person and not a we person, because a characteristic aspect of traditional African culture, and of course I say traditional, is the we concept. And so you wouldn't distance yourself from the global black collective, because distancing yourself from the global black collective is something that the originators of me culture want us to do. It's something that was discussed in the controversial Memorandum 46. And so whenever you see somebody doing that, they're in service of the me as opposed to the we. The ultimate in being a we person is institution building. The ultimate in being a we person is volunteering to help elders. The ultimate in being a we person is helping out those who can't help themselves. And to be honest, the ultimate in being a we person a lot of times is doing things to help people without anybody even knowing. You know, we have a culture now of clout chasing, and even when it comes to charity, that's like clout chasing and charity. It's like, let me show everyone how I'm helping this person. Let me show everyone how I'm helping this charity. Let me show everyone how I'm doing this community work. Not to encourage other people to do it, but just for me to show off and get some self-aggrandizement and to get some attention and to get some accolades from people about me doing these wonderful things. We have very much an epidemic of attention seeking and limelight seeking for those types of things. And yet, if we look at our community, very few things are being built. You look at the whole Black Lives Matter movement, and you saw all of this protest and all of this, not organizing, mobilizing, right? And I talked about the learning from Kwame Ture, the difference between organization and mobilization. Meism has the capacity to mobilize black people, but meism does not have the capacity to organize black people, because organization of black people is a we concept. It is something that takes place over time. It is something that is hard to keep together, because it's hard to keep black people together, because it's harder to appeal to our we than it is to appeal to our me. It's harder to get people to see that we can do something collectively for the benefit of the whole. When there are people out there that say we can, and honest, they're saying, yeah, we can do something collectively, but it's going to be for the benefit of the few. In fact, the dominant society, as people would say, their whole economy works on a me paradigm, where we've seen in the last few years the updraft of money and wealth go to the top, higher and higher, quicker and quicker, faster and faster, where we have more poverty, more people who are struggling and living paycheck to paycheck, and yet we have more billionaires than ever. That's because of the culture is built on the me paradigm. And so when you see something that is supposed to be for black people, by black people, then in reality it should be based on the we paradigm instead of the me paradigm. And so when I looked at it, and when I look at certain things, that is the measuring stick that I will be using from now on. And that will be how I will determine who is sincere and who is not. And to be honest, it's extremely easy to fall into meism when you live in a society that's centered around meism as opposed to weism. And so I just really wanted to get that concept across I hope that I have explained it well and that people will find some value in that discussion. And in a very weird way, I actually have to thank the person who had that event, because I would have never really thought about this idea and this concept. And if nothing else, they've shown that you can at least still draw people to knowledge, and there's still somewhere in people's mind, you can still bring people together. Can you do it for a cause that is beneficial for the collective? To a degree. But I also think that most of the time that you draw a lot of people, you're going to draw people to something that is safe, or something that is non-threatening to the ruling class, if you will. Something that is not necessarily in opposition of the plans of our enemies. And so I think those things will continue to be more popular than things that are completely diametrically opposed to the plans of our enemies. Those things that are 100% centered in the we. Those things that are designed to not only benefit the we, but designed to strengthen the we. Those things that are designed to counteract the meism in our community, that counteract the meism that lies in the minds of our people, that's been placed there by our enemies. So it's going to be there's going to be a push and pull, a tug of war for the minds of our people based on the me and the we. And one of the things that it happens, one of the things that why the meism is so detrimental is because when you get the meism in the movement and you get it masquerading as something that's for the black collective, but it's really for the self-aggrandizement of the individual or a few individuals, there's one of the things that happens is it turns the people off and it makes them go away from knowledge. One of the other things that happens is it takes away the money, it takes away the support, it takes away the energy from the sincere builders, the sincere nation builders, the sincere warriors, the sincere people who really value and really work for and really desire for our people to be finally liberated, for our people to be free, for our people to be strong, for our people to gain power, for our people to become sovereign, for our people to eventually become dominant. When you don't hear that type of talk or that type of discussion or that type of spirit coming from people, then you have to look at them and see, is this somebody that I should be supporting? Is this somebody that is serious? Is this somebody that is dedicated? Or is this somebody who is basically in the middle of a hustle? And is somebody that's basically trying to get over? Is this somebody that's trying to benefit themselves more than they're trying to benefit the community? These are things that people have to measure for themselves and be careful who they support. And it can be hard to tell because, let's be honest, freedom isn't free. The people who are sincere and who've been doing the work and doing things to benefit the community, they do need support. They do not get funding from the dominant society. They don't get funding from Europeans or Asians or Arabs or anybody like that. And so their support is going to come from their own pockets oftentimes, and from the community and the people who support them, the people who value them, the people who see value in their work. And so it's hard. It can be hard to differentiate, because sometimes you may have both groups of people asking for your support, asking for your time, asking indeed for your financial support. And you have to be able to measure whether there's some me in it or some we in it. And so that is the challenge for the people who are out here, who are willing to support those who are doing the work, to be able to decipher, is a person doing it for the collective benefit of black people, or are they doing it just for the benefit of themselves? And to be honest, to what percentage of each of those things? So with that, brothers and sisters, I thank you all for listening. Again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This is your brother DC Radical 1, and this is the latest episode of DC's Radical Thoughts. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also follow us on our other social media platforms. On Instagram, we're at dc.radical, the numeral 1. On Twitter, we're at dc_radical_ONE. And the Cash App is $DC Radical 1. Again, thank you for subscribing. A beat before ODA and straight black pride.